It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to another video. I wanted to talk about another forum today that is discussing, is there even a way to remove tunneling at all? And I wanted to talk about it because, as you guys know, I've always been saying that tunneling is purely a strategy in order to gain more pressure and to keep up with the pacing of the match. So I wanted to actually just kind of read this because I think there might be a lot to talk about. So they say everyone says we need to create an environment without tunneling, but how do we actually coordinate such an environment? If we were to hang everyone to the average level once, wouldn't that be like forcing everyone to finish a marathon holding hands? And I agree with that. The way I would do it is that, oh, this might be interesting. It says the way that this person would do it is that they would share the first hook state. Meaning that the earliest you could remove someone from the game is the 6th hook, which by at that point, most people would agree that is near half of the game. Now this person, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, saying behavior as idea was pretty good. You can't hook the same person twice and you can't sacrifice somebody before getting 4 hook. That's kind of stupid, bro. Because like the problem is that they want to, like, you want to constantly prevent these things, and it's like, but what benefit does the killer gain from them? Because if you're trying to add a mechanic that only benefits the one side, you're directly nerfing killer again and again and again, and then it just makes it even shittier to play killer. So like, what do you gain from that? This person says these sorts of changes heavily incentivize slugging for reasons which should be extremely obvious, which I agree with that. Because then they just won't hook at all. Because then it's like, if I hook this person because they're directly playing aggressively, trying to get in my way when I'm trying to go for their teammate and take a free body block, then I'm just going to leave them on the ground, because I'm like, well, there's no point in me trying to do that. So then they say, wasn't the reason why slugging became a problem in the first place, which is the because there was a negative impact for the killer to hook at all. You pick up, risking a save, walking to hook, hooking, activating perks like OTRDS and DH. It's a big time investment. But exactly, so you're gonna only like make slugging even worse, because now because you already know these survivor players how they are, they're gonna use the anti-tunnel aggressively. So then you're gonna end up having to slug again, which only leads back to what they don't want. So like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then it says the problem is with the following mentality: you won't heal me, well, here I go to the killer and screw you over, I guess. I still think it's a stupid idea, but regardless, another big problem was seen on the PTB, that if you were to give survivors the safety of being saved from tunneling, it can be weaponized pretty easily. Together with base kit unbreakable, this makes some horrible scenarios. Like, hee, I'm on death hook, I will go for body blocks. Oh, I got down and slugged for 20 seconds, let's do it again. Evil voice off. You see the problem in that, I hope. Exactly, that's my standpoint too. I agree with this. This is very true. We've seen that, and I've even covered that in a previous video. That's the problem. Like, it gets weaponized and then used in a way that is directly against what it is. So that's why I'm trying to say, like, there should be, here's my pitch. Give us like the same changes like before, right? For killers, we get base kit pop, aura, you know what I mean, and the haste, but we remove the whole gen lockout mechanic, and then we don't have any penalties for not using those things. So it creates a situation where, as a killer player, you can decide, do I want additional slowdown? Do I want the bonuses? Or do I want to just go for the usual thing, but I won't receive those bonuses? Like, can I take the risk of not having my additional slowdown? Can I take the risk of not being able to use the haste, or not being able to do this thing in order to create a different play? To me, I go, that might be a good solid choice, because you either don't get the bonus at all, and you inevitably create a unique sort of decision making in gameplay, because you go, I can either get this fresh hook and then get my slowdown and my aura and stuff, gives me more haste and information and things like that, or I don't do that, but I won't receive my bonuses, and I'm gonna have to figure out if I can down this person again or not. I just thought like that would work a lot better. We don't need a gen lockout thing, we don't need all of that. That's how I think we could do it, so at least give the lower tiers at least something, because the higher tiers are probably just not going to be able to, or the higher tiers are going to be able to use this regardless. It doesn't matter how you decide to slice the changes around. the high tiers are pretty much unaffected. They're still going to be very fast. They're still going to be very efficient at chase, but the lower tiers are still going to be the issue. So at least from my perspective, take the good parts and put that in, and then from there we see how do we then see if we can adjust it accordingly. I once thought about this mechanic. If a killer picks up a survivor and carries them to a hook, all gens get blocked for the time the killer invests. I like that idea. That's kind of cool. That would be pretty cool. I like that idea. That's a really cool idea. I've always said, like, why don't we have like things that are within the base kit to slow the gens down, and that is a cool idea. Basically having like a mini Grim Embrace or / Thrilling Tremors would be nice. I would say, because then you won't have to waste a whole perk slot. Like, that would be really useful. Here we go. And they put actual punishments for tunneling. Like, no. Like, what the hell? They already did that and it was dog shit. Like, stop, bro. Sure, they can also add rewards for not tunneling. And they should if they add What? Without punishments for tunneling, nothing will work because you need to create an incentive, which is better than tunneling for people not to tunnel if they want to win. And that this would be no. No. They already tried that. It's still stupid. Like, it's still stupid. Not all tunneling is a killer deliberately hunting the same survivor. I got someone out within 4 hooks because he kept running in front of me. That's another thing too that these anti-tunnel changes do, is that it only affects the highest most experienced players, because there are people that are just brand spanking new that will end up chasing whoever's in front of them because they don't know what the heck is going on. The survivor doesn't know what the heck is going on. And they'll end up just dying, and then their whole all the gens are blocked because they didn't know that you couldn't kill, which is extremely illogical as well. Like, why would you not kill as a killer? Like, makes no sense. But yeah. So it says you give people unlimited orc cells, but they could never tunnel again, and they will still tunnel. Punishments are the only way to make. No, that's not. So okay, so let's use that same logic. Why don't we punish survivors for gen rushing then, right? Because that's the only way. Punishments are the only way to make it less appealing, right? So why don't we punish gen rushing? If you finish 2 gens in succession, all the gens are blocked for the rest of the match, right? I mean, let's go let's go that way, right? Like, you want to make it so crazy. Why don't we do that for both sides then? Be like, okay, you're doing your objective too fast, lockout. You can't even progress the gens anymore, so the killer has to kill you. This is a good point. They say the thing is, if you somehow completely remove tunneling, then either you need to slow down the game or make it so average chase is faster, even for M1s. None of those options would be fun for survivors. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because the lowest tiers, like M1s, use these strategies in order to keep up with S tiers, to keep up with the A tiers. Because at the end of the day, like, an S tier doesn't necessarily need to utilize these strategies because they have enough pressure by what they can do. Low to M1s can't really do that. Like, they don't have map mobility to do that. They don't have, you know, the map pressure to do that. It just doesn't exist. They say, I doubt it's possible to get rid of it completely without overhauling the entire hooking and elimination mechanic of the game. And that would be a very big change. I could only seen done properly when you start fresh from the scratch designing a game, which they'll never do. Of course, I'm adding that on. That they'll never do that. Because, you know, DBD 2, they're not gonna do it. It's financially a massive sink. They're not gonna do it. It's a waste of money, and they have to renegotiate every license again. It's not worth it. They're not going to do it. Though I think it's possible to reduce it in a way to make it less reliable, not turn it into a weapon. The thing is that they're like, oh, it feels unfun to go up against, but it's like the only reason that it's even a strategy is so that killers can keep up with the pacing of the match. If they get a chase done in 30 seconds and you're losing 2 gens, then it's like, well, what else are you gonna do? You're like, well, I need somebody dead now because we're already halfway through the game. So, like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? As an example. Because the fact of the matter is, right, we're talking about making it a less reliable strategy. We're trying to remove the strategy. But the reason that the strategy exists is because of the way that the game is fundamentally designed. It is as efficient as gen rushing is for Survivor. It is efficient as it is to run to the corners of the map to go down. It's as efficient as it is for even like pre-dropping and running off. Like these are things in the game that are as efficient as they could possibly be in the game. They're not fun, but it's a part of what makes the game efficient. That's how you min-max your way into the game. So the thing is like when you're trying to remove something like that, when you're trying to change that, you're fundamentally changing the game as a whole. And they're not going to do that because they're bad at coding, and they're not going to spend that kind of money to do that, right? Because that's just not where their money's at. And the thing is that beyond that, of course, removing the strategy pretty much destroys the killer side even more than it already has been, because like I've said, M1s are unable to create map pressure. They're unable to get downs quickly. They're unable to do the same things S tiers can, to do the same thing A tiers can. They just can't. It's like the level of map pressure, mobility, chase, lethality is simply not there. It's just not there. So that's why people are using this in the first place. It's already been discussed. And to be able to try to completely remove it, you need to find something that is equally as powerful to be able to remove somebody out of the game, or to add multiple mechanics that can equalize the playing field in that sense. Because at the end of the day, the most amount of pressure you can have is if a survivor can't progress the objective at all. And that is literally removing them from the lobby. So if you can't do that, and it's like you want to keep them in the game all day, then you're going to have like a full like grim embrace for 20 seconds every hook and like stuff like that, which the survivors will bitch and complain about. But it's like either that or you die faster. So like, what do you want? You know what I mean? In order for the way to do it. So that's why I think endurance. Okay, so let's continue. So they say that's why I think endurance is the wrong approach to counter it. Making survivors untouchable, but not being able to interact with the killer during their protection phase would probably be way more reliable. I've said that what if there was a timer that decreased in proximity? Like, so for example, like they have like their 15 seconds of endurance right now, but it decreases faster and faster the longer they're in chase with the killer, or like in the terror radius, I should say. Something within that range, because like if they're staying like nearby the killer, they should be like punished for that. They should be trying to get away from the killer when being unhooked, because they already have like 15 seconds of haste and endurance, so you could use that to make distance and get away. And if you're staying in the range and trying to body block or trying to do something like that, it should just be removed, you know, at least from my perspective, because that you're like directly using it aggressively, which is not the intention of the mechanic. What the hell is that? Definitively? I didn't spell it right. They reconsider the early game advantage survivors currently have. Something like locked pallets and windows, which somebody has to unlock open before it can be used in chase, is a really cool idea too. What if they had to like build pallets? Like, what if there weren't like that many at the start and they had to like build them? They had to like get like tools and like build them or something. I don't know. This person says, I had an idea the entity blocks hooks when the last hook survivor is carried by the killer again, but it will lead to slugging. I don't think there's a way to prevent it unless the hooks themselves changes. Like it's another stupid idea. The concept of removing tunneling means giving survivors actual moments of invulnerability, which lead to more degen gameplay from survivors. And since killers have no other options for play styles, then they will just quit. Exactly. As if it hasn't already been doing that, right? This person says, I don't think we can or should even try to completely eliminate tunneling. What I think we should do is try to make tunneling not be the clearly strongest strategy to use against solo teams and beginner to intermediate players, which the only way to do that is to actually make the players themselves better, which they are not going to do, as you've seen, because these are the same players that don't look at the HUD, they don't look at videos on how to loop, they don't try to get better at the game, they just hit sprint burst and then wonder why they're dead. And in 99.9% of situations, that way it currently is. Let tunneling in certain scenarios stay viable, but don't make it so the flowchart for optimal killer gameplay is clearly and obviously more complex than find someone, tunnel out, oversimplifying, get the point. Yeah, the thing is that the only way to do to make this better is you either, like, there's a lot of different paths. I'm just saying that you need to buff up killers that are shit to make them better at close to blight level, at least in my opinion, so that they aren't needed to use those strategies, so you can shift it out of there and then you can work on that. Because like I've said, M1s use it to keep up with other killers because they're so they're so bad that they can't do anything with it. You know what I mean? Like, they have no map mobility. They don't have any traversal, right? Like I just said, they don't have any like chase powers to help them at all. So the chases are super long, and then you finally can get a hook, and then you're like, I can't leave because they'll save, and then I have to find someone and it hit them twice when I don't have the time when there's already 2 gens done. Like, there's just, like, the math is not mathing. So this person's saying for a hook donation system. Survivors can choose to donate their first hook state to the shared pool. If there's a bad actor, they can choose not to. Interesting. It's a little strange, but all right. I've mentioned that this would have a limit to something like 4 minutes or 350% total gen progress across the map, or both, where it locks in hook states. You can donate to in late to mid game. I don't know how that would work. I feel like it's too complicated and it seems kind of terrible. They also pulled anti-slugging. This isn't a feature to be concerned about, but in this scenario with hook donation, the primary goal is to eliminate someone as soon as possible. Is just how they do that changes. They want to burn through hooks as fast as they can. Interesting. So normally this would be in chases, but someone gets down body blocking, the killer just gets a free hook and free gen pressure protocol. I personally think that non-interactive effects like gen blocking and incapacitation could be extremely limited. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I disagree with it because the reason that that slugging exists or tunneling exists is because the survivors apply pressure by them existing. Like, they can heal, save, and progress gens because they're alive. They're walking around. They're looking. They can do whatever they want. They can counter your power. They can counter your play. They can counter or do the gens or heal someone or save someone or whatever. And it's like, because they can do that, they're already providing pressure. So by disabling those things, it's why a lot of us are saying, like, at least myself and this person who wrote the post are saying maybe that could be a good idea because of that reason. Now, because that's why tunneling even exists in the first place. So you need to be able to find a way so that they can't interact with the main objective. Maybe if they had to, like, search for parts, right? Like, or partition and they can't progress the gens any further or something like that. Like, just something so that it gives a little more interactability and also provides, like, passive slowdown as well, so that it can provide something for both. So that they're not having to feel like I have to bum rush someone out so that there's a fighting chance to even, like, get a kill in the first place. So blocking gens or even slowdown doesn't fix the trapper can't cross the map like blight cam problem. I mean, yeah, but that's why we're putting up this idea of blocking those gens, because it is compensation for the fact that they can't. And we're not going to give trapper a dash, so it's like, what do you expect? Yeah. Let's see what this person says. So I think it's possible, yes, but there needs to be some willingness to take the plunge and address problems after they arise instead of hand-wringing about them before they happen. So is this one of the devs, like, hiding saying T is for testing in PTB? I think we can learn constructively from the previous PTB attempts that behavior don't want to add in very disruptive systems that actively stop players from making decisions. I disagree, but we'll continue. I have my issues with this. Thankfully, I think meaningful anti-tunnel is all achievable within that framework. Now the reason I'm gonna, that I read that, let me continue what I was gonna say. The reason I say that I don't think that they do, that I don't really agree that they don't want to add in these disruptive systems, because they're adding an anti-tunnel. Their pitch for anti-tunnel was block all gens from being kicked and damaged because you did a no hook. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, but regardless, let's read on. So it says, when a survivor is unhooked, they gain a mark on their portrait the way they do now, which we'll call last hooked. If a survivor with last hooked is hooked again, they do not gain a hook state, and their hook timer does not tick down until the last hook mark is removed. Well, that's stupid. So then why would they hook them? What? That's fucking stupid. Why would they hook them then? Last hooked is removed under the survivor performs a conspicuous action. 90 seconds have passed, or another survivor gets unhooked. I wish the last hook marks transfers to them instead. Yeah, 90 seconds is kind of long. I'm like, I don't know about that. It's kind of long. Yeah, that's kind of long. I don't. I already don't like this. This achieves that killers are able to. What? Wait, well, hold on. So let me try to read this out loud. So it says what this achieves is that killers are able to target someone fresh off a hook if they have good reason to. Yeah, but the reason that it's done is so that they can kill someone so that they create pressure. Because if you remove a survivor, they can't progress the objective. Like this just like what? Like what the fuck are we talking about? Like this is so stupid. It's like that player being super aggressive or having the hook related perks they want to activate quicker, but when they get out of it, it is in progress toward a 1v3 and they slow the game down by immobilizing and forcing to come for a save while a third gets chased. No, because this is just slugging with extra steps. Like you wouldn't need to do all of this. Like you could just slug and do the same thing. Like, but then the only difference is now you're boosting the. Look at this shit. Them having hook related perks they want to activate quicker. So that means that you're basically making slugging with extra steps, but now they have the bonus of getting dead hard or decisive or off the record or whatever instead. I don't agree with that. That's not good. That is not good. It'd naturally be the killer's best interest to chase someone else, but their choice isn't being taken away. So this pitch fundamentally doesn't understand why people tunnel in the first place. So by saying that, oh, it's just their choice isn't being taken away, it's like, no, but the reason the choice is being made is not being addressed in this change. Like that's not what people are worried about. They still choose to target one survivor as circumstances demand, but people don't just target people for no reason. Like that's what I'm trying to get at here. They say you're no longer be able to force someone out of the game early for an easy win, but you still have the ability to chase that survivor for other. What easy win? Like, yeah. It's just terrible. Like this is a terrible pitch. Like you're saying like, oh, you can just. It's not gonna force them out, so it's like, why even hook then? Like it makes no sense. Like you're just making slugging with extra steps. People like the survivors are complaining about being on the ground or being on the hook because they're just sitting there. It's like, yeah, but that's the whole like that. What do you expect? You know what I mean? Like if they run around, they can count. They can literally activate a counter to your power like Singularity, or a spray from Wesker, or a syringe for Nemesis. Like if you run around, you directly apply pressure. So like you're trying to stop you from applying pressure. That's what it's for. Like what the fuck? It's like, oh, but they're on the hook, so it's like, come on, man. Like what are we talking about? Like the reason that they do that is to get them out of the game sooner. Like that's the point. You prevent pressure by removing the pressure. The carrot side of the stick for killers should probably be a toolbox rework to definitely address gen rushing. Toolboxes aren't the only problem, to be fair. Like it's not just toolboxes. Like there's a lot of gen. Like they need to remove gen progression stacking. That needs to be removed to prevent gen rushing as a whole. Because if you stack toolbox plus proof thyself and deja vu and person next to you with the same perks, you're getting insane speed. Like why not remove the stacking? Like so you have the highest value is the one that has the most, that is going to work. Like come on now. So if you're using a toolbox with 50%, then it's only 50%. If you decide to use proof thyself with nothing else and you only have 10%, then it's only 10%. If you put deja vu and proof thyself, instead of it being 16%, it's only 10% because 10 is greater than the 6%. That to me is going to be a lot better than just, oh well, toolbox rework. Like they're being way too light with the survivor adjustment. Let's see. So you can't get rid of tunneling as it's caused by a core and game design feature. If you took it out, killer would be dead. Same for gen rushing, but both exist due to the core gameplay loop. I agree. Like gen rushing exists because it's literally progressing your objective faster, the same way that tunneling is, right? Like they're both progressing their objective faster. That's literally the entire thing. So the hook donation system would be stronger, shoulder the burden, and would buff Swift to an extreme, which isn't that good. While solo queue teammates will likely act selfish. There's a reason why no solo queue player runs shoulder the burden, but Swifts do. 100% accurate. I don't think it was smart to scrap the anti-slug. It was only too strong when it gets abused, but with the immunity of anti-tunnel, if this makes sense to you. I didn't give the killer pop to Gozo Weasel for this exact reason. A trapper won't reach the gen faster than a blight, but both carry the survivor in the same pace. Additionally, the gen blocks when the survivor is hooked. This mechanic is only there to stop the argument from the killer that he had no time to hook. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not an easy solution. So, this person says, I don't think it should be addressed as a blanket problem. I only see it being problematic as when it's happening before 3 gens are being completed. I think most players take issue or more with early hard tunneling. I guess. A hard tunneling blight at 5 is a bit different than a killer getting elimination with 2 gens remaining. I don't think a solution should be tied to total hook states or rather gens completed. Making early tunneling less appealing for the killer should be the goal, but it's sometimes the right move when you only have a couple gens left. They shouldn't be punished, and a reasonable survivor shouldn't have an issue with it. That's exactly my perspective on it as well. I think that trying to punish the killer player for trying to be efficient with a shit tier killer is really just not a positive thing. That's what I'm saying, at least. So the reason some tunnel and slug is great pressure because either the gens are go too fast or they can't get downs fast enough. That's exactly what I've been saying. That's kind of the problem because the low tiers are not at the same speed of blight. Like M1s are not the same speed as blight. They can't down as fast as blight. They can't keep up as fast as blight. They just can't. So of course they're going to have to find some way to get kills because gens are at the speed of light. Gens are fast as shit. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, what other option do you have? You're just ending up with no kill. It's like, then you're not doing your objective. So they say my idea is would be to make it where everyone shares hooks like shared lives in a Mario game. The first 4 hooks would always be the first stage. 5, 6, 7, and 8 would be second, and the remaining death. You could technically still tunnel the same person, but they wouldn't die until hook 8. But it is heavily survivor sided, I agree. Still. Oh, it is a good one. So the only people who say tunneling needs to be completely eliminated are survivor only players who don't know from experience that there are situations where tunneling is the only means of applying pressure to have a chance of coming back from a losing match. 100% true. 100% true. They say I have no issue with efforts to reduce or minimize early game tunneling, but tunneling when survivors already had a chance to play most of the match and the killer is losing is completely justifiable. It shouldn't even be called tunneling at that point. It's simply trying to secure a kill, which by the way is the only objective for the killer role. Exactly. You need to kill them. Like, that's how it goes. So this is a good. Oh, the original poster came back. So it says, how long do we have to put up with the selfish attitude of I don't want to be the first eliminated in a match? Recently, survivors give up on matches quickly and disconnect. So perhaps we really do need to improve the tutorial and raise the skill level of survivor players. If things continue like this, survivor complaints will keep leading to nerfs, and we could end up seeing a second or third wave of skull merchants emerge. I do agree. The original poster is incredibly based and has incredible takes. Really cool. So I'm just gonna skip over those parts because that's not really relevant. So let's say, this person says you can't unless the preventions are so extreme that they render the tunneled survivor unkillable by any means. I guess. Ignoring any arguments about efficiency or needing to win for a moment. Some people just tunnel to be pricks. They want to be one person in particular dead for whatever reason and do not care how much they're throwing the match to do so. I mean, sure, like that happens. You know what I mean? Like, that is a thing that can occur. But like the thing is that with a change like that, like an anti-tunnel thing, is that it blankets every single player. Not every single killer is doing this. Because one person has I had a bad match, he was only tunneling me. It's like, yeah, like people are going to be shitty no matter what. Like this is not a new thing. Like people are like are shitty. Like that happens in this game. Like that, like you could even touch back on the Bubba like mask thing, like when they had those unlockable masks, so they would use the Claudette mask and only tunnel on Claudette or something. And stuff like that, and say and like be like super racist and whatnot. I gotta edit all that out. Yeah, so I understand like where they're coming from. The problem is though is that like people are going to be terrible regardless. Like it doesn't matter if you were to add this change or not, because of the fact of the matter is, like, you adding this change affects everyone, when the only person that really should have been affected was that person doing that thing. And then that's just the problem. You can't punish everyone for the one person that the one thing that they did. Like that's not really fair. You could hypothetically make it impossible or otherwise useless from an efficiency standpoint by either making spreading hooks out more efficient, which is, I don't entirely know how that could physically be possible, because how could you make spreading hooks more efficient if survivors existing are efficient? Like they can do many things because they're alive. So by tunneling, you're removing them from the match. So what else can you do? You know what I mean? Like, the fact that the survivor's alive means that they can use an EMP on Singularity. They can use a spray on Wesker. They can use a syringe. They can reveal you on Ghostface. They can disable your drone on Skull Merchant because they're alive. So you're making it more difficult by them existing as it is. And if you remove them, it becomes more efficient and easier. So it's like, I know that people are like, oh, but it sucks when I have to face this thing. But it's like, that doesn't mean you need to create this gigantic life-changing change because I had one bad match. Like that's not going to matter in the grand scheme, because just because of that one match you had, you're gonna affect everyone's experience. Like that's not really fair. So yeah. So this person says completely eliminating it is not going to be possible, but making it not the de facto most powerful way to play should be a priority. But like I've said, there's no way you can equate removing a survivor from the game unless you make them basically incapacitated for the majority of the game. Because the reason that people slug and the reason that people like are camping is and stuff like that are all ways to get them to die faster, like that, because if they die faster, you can then provide more pressure, because like I've said, they're alive, they can heal, save, counter your power, you know, in different ways, shapes and forms, and progress the objectives. Like you want to prevent that, and that's why it's done. So that's just how it works. But yeah, so they say that like from DS to OTR, by having DS value and giving OTR endurance is the worst move for both sides. Taking one hit, extra hit is weaker than going down, sitting to the pickup animation, and then stunning the killer for 5 seconds before refreshing chase. But simultaneously, if someone bloody blocks the DS are helpless. OTR, they don't incur a mending deal. Okay. I mean, I'm skimming this, but it's not really that effective. It's just another take that's just horrible. Like they really don't know what they're talking about. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about the points being made in this video. Do you think that tunneling could ever be removed? And if so, how would you try to fix it? Now, me personally, I just don't think it's possible, like I've said. But I do want to hear what you guys think. And yeah, let me know what you guys' thoughts. Of course, support the channel by becoming a member, either on Patreon or YouTube, to have access to exclusive content you're not going to see anywhere else, of course. And supporting me directly. I'll see you guys in the next one. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, N Dyer, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hex Dev, and Crow Vader, and for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _ Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazaboo, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.